Heracles, the son of Zeus and Alcmene, was born under extraordinary circumstances. Zeus, the king of the gods, had disguised himself as Alcmene's husband, Amphitryon, to seduce her. Thus, Heracles was born with divine heritage, but this would also bring him great misfortune. From the moment of his birth, Hera, Zeus' wife, became enraged by Heracles' existence. As a child, he already exhibited extraordinary strength, easily defeating fierce enemies and overcoming obstacles. However, Hera's jealousy and hatred led her to cause tremendous suffering for the hero. In one tragic episode, Hera drove him into a fit of madness, during which he killed his wife and children, an act he could not remember when the madness lifted. Racked with guilt, he sought guidance from the Oracle of Delphi, who revealed that to cleanse himself of his sins, he must complete 12 grueling labors set by King Eurystheus. These tasks would challenge his mind and body, pushing him to the limits of what seemed possible. But Heracles embraced his fate, knowing that redemption could only be found through his trials. The first of Heracles' 12 labors was to slay the Nemean Lion, a creature of immense strength and invulnerability. The lion's hide could not be pierced by any weapon, and its claws were razor-sharp. Heracles, equipped with a club and bow, ventured into the Nemean hills, where the beast terrorized the land. For days, he hunted the lion, but each time he tried to strike, the lion's hide deflected his blows. Realizing that he could not defeat the lion with weapons, Heracles resorted to his own strength. One night, as the lion rested in its den, he snuck up and, using his bare hands, strangled the creature to death. Once the beast was slain, Heracles skinned it using its own claws, crafting a protective cloak from the hide, which made him nearly invulnerable. This victory not only marked the beginning of his arduous journey, but also showed that strength alone was sometimes not enough, and creativity in battle was essential for a hero's success. Heracles' second labor took him to the swamps of Lerna, where he was tasked with slaying the Hydra, a serpentine monster with 9 heads. Each time one of its heads was severed, 2 more would grow in its place, making the creature nearly impossible to defeat. Armed with only a sword, Heracles faced the Hydra in its lair, a murky, toxic swamp. As he swung his blade to cut off the monster's heads, more heads sprouted from the stumps, and the creature became increasingly more dangerous. Heracles realized that mere strength would not suffice. He called upon his nephew, Iolaus, to help him. After each head was severed, Iolaus cauterized the stump with a torch, preventing the Hydra from regrowing new heads. After a long and bloody struggle, Heracles managed to defeat the immortal head of the Hydra by crushing it under a massive rock. Heracles then dipped his arrows in the creature's venom, creating deadly weapons to use in future labors. This labor showcased Heracles' adaptability and resourcefulness, qualities that were essential for a hero tasked with completing impossible feats. The third labor required Heracles to capture the Golden Hind of Artemis, a swift and sacred deer that could outrun any mortal or god. The hind was a favorite of Artemis, and Heracles was warned that if he harmed the animal, he would incur the goddess's wrath. For a year, he pursued the hind across forests and mountains, never allowing it to escape. The hind was elusive, moving faster than the wind, but Heracles, relentless in his determination, never gave up. He finally caught the creature, but he did not harm it. Instead, he carefully trapped it alive and brought it to Eurystheus, who was awestruck by the feat. He also ensured Artemis that the deer had not been harmed. Although Artemis was initially angry, she forgave him, recognizing the hero's respect for her sacred creature. This labor proved Heracles' patience and respect for nature, qualities not often associated with such a mighty warrior. Heracles' fourth labor took him to the slopes of Mount Erymanthus to capture the monstrous Erymanthian Boar. This gigantic boar had been wreaking havoc in the region, destroying crops and terrorizing the inhabitants. Heracles tracked the boar through deep snow and rugged terrain, using his immense strength and endurance to follow its trail. After a long pursuit, he cornered the boar in the snow and trapped it. With brute force, he subdued the creature and brought it back alive to King Eurystheus, who was terrified of the beast's immense size and ferocity. This labor demonstrated Heracles' incredible perseverance, as he not only had to capture the beast, but also deal with a harsh environment and extreme conditions. The boar's capture solidified Heracles' status as a hero capable of overcoming the toughest of challenges. The fifth labor was one of the most challenging in terms of scale and practicality. Heracles was tasked with cleaning the Augean Stables, which had not been cleaned in decades. The stables housed an immense number of cattle, and their accumulated waste was so vast that it was said to have created its own ecosystem. Heracles realized that no ordinary cleaning method would work, so he employed his legendary ingenuity. He diverted the rivers Alpheus and Punius, directing their powerful currents into the stables. The floodwaters washed away the filth, and the task was completed in a single day. The completion of this labor was a testament to Heracles' cleverness and his ability to use the resources around him. It also highlighted his perseverance as he approached the seemingly impossible task with practicality and creativity. Heracles' sixth labor was to defeat the Stymphalianbirds, dangerous creatures that had metallic feathers capable of cutting through flesh. These birds lived in a swampy region, and they were terrorizing local villages with their deadly attacks. Heracles, armed with only his bow and arrows, could not approach the birds directly without being cut down. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, provided Heracles with a pair of bronze castanets. The sound of these castanets startled the birds, causing them to fly into the air, where they were vulnerable to Heracles' deadly arrows. The hero shot down the birds one by one, clearing the area of the threat. This labor demonstrated not only Heracles' strength, but also his clever use of divine tools and tactics. It was a reminder that raw power alone could not solve every problem. Sometimes, a hero needed to think strategically. The seventh labor sent Heracles to the island of Crete, where he was tasked with capturing the CretanBull. This enormous beast had been wreaking havoc on the island, and was known for its incredible strength and temper. Heracles approached the task with a combination of raw strength and tactical planning. After a fierce struggle, he wrestled the bull into submission, tying it up and bringing it back to King Eurystheus. This labor was another demonstration of his unmatched power and skill. Once the bull was brought to Eurystheus, it was released, but its capture proved that Heracles could overpower even the most formidable creatures. The final and most difficult labor of all was the capture of Cerberus, the three-headed dog who guarded the gates of the Underworld. Cerberus was a terrifying creature, with 3 snarling heads, each capable of devouring any mortal who approached. To capture Cerberus, Heracles had to descend into the Underworld itself, a place where few mortals ever returned. He navigated the dark realm with courage and strength, using both his physical prowess and wits to subdue the beast without harming it. He wrestled the dog into submission, bringing it back to Eurystheus. When Cerberus arrived, the king was so frightened by the creature that he hid in a large jar, too terrified to face the beast. With this labor, Heracles completed his 12 labors and proved that he was the greatest of all heroes. This myth of Heracles and his 12 labors remains one of the most iconic tales from Greek mythology. His journey is a story of strength, perseverance, and determination in the face of seemingly impossible challenges. Each labor tested his physical limits, but they also prove that the greatest heroes are not defined only by their strength, but also by their heart and courage. Heracles' legend would inspire generations, and his name would forever be associated with the idea of heroism in Greek culture. His myth speaks to the eternal struggle between man and the forces of nature, the gods, and fate.